So hey everybody, I'm Kristen Brooks and I am a technology specialist in Cherokee County, and I have actually worked with students for 30 years. This is my 30th year. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am excited.
I'm excited to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
This is your second time.
Yes.
First time was in Orlando.
It was.
FETC.
Yes. I think.
FETC.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember. I can clearly remember exactly where we were in
Okay.
that. So, all right. So, welcome back to the show. First and foremost, how's everything going?
It's going well.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. And you are here in Georgia.
Yes, I am here in Georgia. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So this is my second time here. I was here 10 years ago for ISTE 2014, I want to say. So
Okay.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
It's been a minute.
Been a minute.
All right. Give us a little bit more on your role.
So I basically work with students in a tech lab, and we create more than we consume with our devices. So
What a thought, right?
I know, right?
What a thought.
That is my big, like if you were to say, what's your slogan or, for education, that's mine, is I just think everybody should try to create more than they consume.
I'm going to use that if you don't mind.
Yeah, do not
Did you
mind.
trademark it yet?
Yes.
You did? Good for you.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Maybe I'm going to do that
That's
right
a
after
no.
this.
I'm going to go with a no. So I'm going to use it as many times until I get a cease and desist letter.
I will not send you that, but just reference me when you use it.
Will do. All right. So with that being said, the past 2 years have been completely just flipped.
Yes.
With upside down, with AI.
Yeah.
I want to start on a personal level.
Okay.
On a personal level, how has Kristen Brooks's life been changed with AI?
Yeah. I love AI. Like, I think it's amazing.
Okay.
And I will say that, like, at first when I was like studying, learning my own like dive into AI, I kept thinking, like, how would I use this? Like, I do feel, that's one of the things I actually just got done presenting about, was how to use AI for creativity purposes in education. And I feel like that is huge, like actually a gift to everyone using AI. But as I'm like preparing to introduce it to my students, 3 years ago, I was like, how am I going to use this? And for a while, I was kind of like, because I like to do my own things. Like, I like to write it myself. And I thought, it could help me not necessarily because sometimes I have too many words, and then you're trying to fill something out, and it's like, it has to be 100 words or 100 characters or whatever.
You're over the limit.
Yeah, so that is helpful because I'm like, but it all needs to be in there, so helping me be more concise. That was probably the first way I used it. But then I started using it. I was like, wait, I am planning a lot of trips, coming up. Can AI help me do that? And I was shocked, astounded, and instantly in love with being able to put, what are the most important places that I need to see in California in 2 days?
Yeah.
And like naming a specific place. And it like totally will, and tell you where to drive to and what to do and where to stop and where to take a picture. And I loved it.
Okay.
Like, I was like, this is really cool. So that's probably the main ideal way that I started using it. And then when I knew that I was getting ready to move into a new place recently, I was like, I bet you AI can help me figure out, how do I want to organize the decorating, and where do I think furniture needs to go? I know where I think it needs to go, but if I want it feng shui, or
if I want the energy to
or
flow a certain
what would
way.
a decorator tell me to do? I think it looks nice, but a decorator, it might look really, so I just was really impressed with the way that you can find something, numerous different retail outlets, and it grasps the picture online and then sits it into your home.
Amazon, right?
And I'm like,
view it in your room kind of thing?
Yeah. And I'm like, that's amazing. And then taking that, there's different ones where you can go and say, okay, what's the best floor plan? What's the best, it's really neat.
Yeah.
Just using it in that way. And then I would say a yes and to that is for me, I felt like doing it with my students and focusing more on creativity was huge, because in that same aspect of the way I used it to help me figure out how to make, my space look the way in my mind I wanted it to look. But that doesn't mean I can actually do that. Like, I don't necessarily have those abilities. And that's how I view that for my students. I might have a first grader who in their mind knows what they want their picture of this made up animal to look like. But then when they actually try to draw that, it doesn't really come out the way that they saw it in their head. And that to me is how I feel like when I'm teaching my students to use AI, elementary kids, that is what is helping them. Like, what they can actually visualize in their head, they can actually get it created using AI.
The transfer.
Correct.
Okay. All right. It's funny because as you were saying about the trips and that, do you use Expedia at all?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
No.
I book everything through it.
Okay.
I'm not paid by Expedia in any way, shape, or form.
Which could be.
Yet.
Right.
But I use it. I use it for this trip.
Okay.
I book hotel and flight on there, and they have that exact AI feature that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, hey, for your upcoming trip, use our little chatbot kind of thing to build your itinerary.
Right.
And it does that for you.
And it's amazing.
It is. It really is. It really. It's crazy to think that. That's a couple people's jobs that it kind of took away, but it does it so well.
It'll even tell you, and if you want to use public transportation, this is where you'll get on, or this is where your station will be. And I'm like, that's incredible, especially if you're going, overseas.
Yeah.
And
you don't know anything about the transit system.
Right.
Yeah. So interesting. So on a personal level, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it. I remember when I first had the eyebrows just go up was when I asked ChatGPT for the first time to make a low sodium. It was some recipe, but I wanted it to adapt it for low sodium with these ingredients that I had in the pantry. Let me see what it could do. And I was with my wife, and we were playing around with it. This was her first time ever seeing it. And it spit out the recipe and everything, and we were just like, number one, it wasn't like, make me a recipe for this. It was, make me the recipe for this one dish that I'd like to create with these stipulations. But this is what we have.
Right.
And it was able to adapt it and create it.
That's
when I had that aha moment. Now let's transfer that to the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
What do you currently do with your students with AI, and what eyebrow moment have you seen with your students in the classroom?
Right. That's what I've seen. Is I've seen them be able to be thinking huge, grandiose, this is what I want my picture to look like. But physically, they would not have the abilities to draw that picture or even to create that picture, cutting something out. But they can explain it in words to AI. And I've had kids go, that's even better than what I was thinking, or it figured it out. Like, that's what I wanted. And that's a really cool moment for them, because I do remember that frustration. I love art, but I am not artistic. Not in like, I wish I could draw or paint or, the things that I see in my head.
Oh, yeah. My wife is a really good artist. And like, we'll draw
jealous.
something. Both of us will draw something. It's amazing what she comes up with. And I'm like,
mine's a little stick person. Yes, exactly.
And so, even then the sticks are crooked.
Yes. Yeah. And to me, I completely relate with that. Like, I remember being in school and looking at other people's drawings and being like, I really wish I could do that.
I don't even want to show mine.
Exactly. And yes, it was pretty, like I was really good with picking out colors that went together.
Yeah. I can outline the color really good, on point.
But the whole, that's what I have on my paper is not what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
And I feel like AI gives our students the ability that maybe aren't artistic to come up with something that they can see in their mind's eye, but would have difficulty actually creating that themselves.
Okay.
And they can describe it, and then AI creates it for them.
So what particular projects have you seen that with that you do with your students, and what tools do you use?
I really loved last year. We did a lot of folks from history. So I see kindergarten through 5th grade.
Yeah.
And we did, towards the end of the year, several people from history that are 5th graders were trying to describe those folks from history. And I was purposefully, kind of some challenging folks, and purposefully where I wanted them to try to do it just themselves and just draw it or however they could create it. And then I was like, okay, so now I would like for us to try that same project and using AI. I said, but you remember, because these are 5th graders, like y'all have to be really specific.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had used AI, but it was always like made up things, like stuff that they were going to write about, or, an animal that they were like basically putting two animals together and coming up with this, animal that was a made-up creature. So this was more of like trying to have it draw a particular person. And I said, so you're going to have to, think of the person or find a real picture of them and be able to describe that. And I said, and every little bit counts. And the stuff that they had AI draw for people from history, they were incredible.
Really?
I mean, yes. And it really was helpful because I said, it's not like you have to just come here and just name it. You can write it out, whatever thing you think. I said, because sometimes depending on where you even say it in your prompt could make a difference. And I said, let's practice that. Like if you talk about how you want their skin color to look or their hair color or short or long, like all those adjectives are important when you're trying to describe it to get the product that you want. And we really just kept like looking at it, try again. Look at it, try again. Maybe save that version, and just continuously going back and trying over and over again until they got it the way they wanted it.
Nice.
And it really was fun. We used Adobe Express for that.
Okay.
And I felt like it was great practice on writing a prompt or saying a prompt, typing a prompt. It's just really great practice because we had to do a lot of looking at it and then deciding if that was what they really wanted or did they want to keep going, and just there
was a lot of evaluation on their part.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I forgot to say this at the top of the show. We always break bread.
I was super excited about a snack.
We always break bread on the show. Yes. So I'm gonna split one with you.
And these are my favorite.
Are they really? These are blueberry. Are you allergic?
No, I'm not allergic, but I love a Dunkin' Donut.
Okay.
Like my students actually know I cannot say no to a Dunkin' Donut.
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers. Wait. Hold.
There
Cheers.
we go. All right. All right. Adobe Express.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably end up editing this part
of us eating,
or not. Who knows?
You can edit.
Yeah. So you said you're having your students use AI.
Mm-hmm.
What is the policy in your particular district with student AI use?
Yes.
Talk us through it, because that's what AI, like I said, 2 years.
Yeah.
ChatGPT just turned 2, if not turning 2 in the next week or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire discussion is now policy and safeguards.
Yes.
So with that being said, what is your current policy that you know of that you could talk about?
Yeah. For me, I honestly, I just love stuff that's new.
Yeah.
And our district already was using and had trained everybody on Adobe Express, and I saw that it was there, that it was new. And at that time, most things kind of if you're looking at it, I always think that 13 is the age where, above that, I feel pretty comfortable with it. Below that, maybe not as much. But I felt like my job as an educator is to educate people and to show them things and to explain things, because I would rather my students learn from me as an educator than just go and put it together themselves, or just be on what I call sometimes the wild, wild west.
Wild west, yeah.
Just, figuring it out on their own. So it was funny because the first day that I ever asked my 5th graders, what do you know about I just said, what do you know about AI?
Yeah.
What do you think it is? Let's just have a discussion. What do you can guess, you can just, something. We just literally went around the room. What do you know about it? What do you think it is? What do you guess that it is? Have you heard your family talking about it? And just tons of different answers. But most of them were pointing in the correct direction. Like they had a familiarization with what it is and what it does. And so I said, I love all of those answers. And I said, and I'm going to show you guys, A, my interpretation of what it is and what it does, and B, how we can use that for education, and C, that in my opinion, it's not always correct. And you have to check it. And again, I am a big visual person, and my students know that because I feel like just because I'm talking doesn't mean that they're taking it in, or they might hear something, different than what, you know what I'm saying? Like what I mean.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own interpretation of what they hear.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so I feel like if I can have a visual, something for them to look at, they're hopefully getting two different things at one time. And so I just showed them a few visuals, like I was sitting there typing on my computer, having Adobe Express create some things as I was typing. And so I would show them. I think one of the very first ones that I created was a snowman. And so the snowman at first had 2 arms. And then I said, let's recreate that. And a few snowmen later, he had like 6 arms. And I said, as I'm talking, I'm just like, so if you see anything that's kind of awkward as I'm like creating these images, just, raise your hand. And all of a sudden they were all like, and I said, well, what? And they're like, well, his arms, he's got like 6. And I said, oh, but maybe that's the look I was going for, or maybe it's not.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to check it, because depending on what you're wanting your outcome to be, yes, it's going to get it, or maybe it doesn't get it. And I felt like it was perfect because I knew eventually it was going to come up with something kind of a little bit off. And I said, and that's where you have to just look for something that's a discrepancy, something that in your mind, that's not what you were going for.
It doesn't look right.
Right.
It doesn't have that feel that with your gut, something's wrong.
Yes. And so then when I had them make like their first, I believe it was snowmen, they were very keen on looking closely. I said, you have to really check, like, do you want it to have 12 buttons? Do you want it to have, a certain type of eyes or a different type of nose? You have to describe all of that. And so, I just felt like visually, then we used, at that time, Flip to put them all up together.
Rest in peace.
I know. Now we use Padlet to put them all up together.
There you go.
But it is great because...
All 3 of them?
What?
All 3 of your Padlets that you get for free?
Well...
And then you got to delete them.
I've been using them for a long, long time, so I have some extras.
Okay, all right.
I was an original Padlet person way back when.
All right.
So it's great, though, because it just puts them in a grid, and then all of the kids can see each other's at one time. And, sometimes I only give them just a few seconds to create, and then they just have to publish whatever it is. Even if it doesn't look the way they wanted. We just play different games. But that way it really was giving them the opportunity to visually see that it doesn't always create it the way they're wanting or perfectly.
Yeah.
And, I just felt like that was a great way. And then I used those grids to discuss with my younger students of AI. They're not actually creating it.
They're viewing
looking
other
at
students.
Correct.
Okay.
And
all
I
right.
said, let's look at this class and let's see, like, is there anything that you think doesn't look like the others or that you think could be a little off or maybe not what the creator was going for?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. What does your building administration think about student AI use?
I feel like another thing that's great about Adobe Express is that you can turn it off. In our district, it is still on.
Okay.
And my principal loved the fact that they were learning how to use it correctly and learning that it isn't always correct. You have to fact check it, even if it's visual or words. And we did ours, obviously, a lot with the creativity side and creating more visual items. But she really, she said, you know what? That is what school is about, is for students to learn the correct procedures and correct,
Good. I know of a lot of building administrators in our district, outside our district, people that I've had multiple conversations with where they're just anti. Like as soon as they hear it, like they don't even want to hear the reasoning or the pedagogy that could that could potentially happen in the background with that. So very interesting that you have that forward-thinking administration. So good for you on that part.
But it's hard because it's not going to go away.
Pandora's box is open.
And if
you can't close it.
And if we're not teaching students to use it correctly,
they're going to use it incorrectly.
Right.
The conversation that I have with some teachers is, my youngest son is 16, about to be 17 in a couple months. I just realized I didn't just realize. I was reminded that my oldest will be 19 in a week and a half.
Wow.
Okay. As soon as we stop recording, I got to hit the Amazon cart. So he's going to be 19 in a year and a half. So my 16-year-old and 18-year-old, as of right now, they are going to be competing with other potential applicants for jobs, careers, where if my kids don't know how to use AI, they're at a disadvantage, even for the application process.
Absolutely.
So that's the conversation I have with teachers is, look, they're, like you said, they're already using it.
Right.
Especially after 5th grade, once you hit 13 and on, they're using it. Yeah, they might tell you no, and there are some who don't, but for the most part, they're using it.
Right.
Yeah, and what the question is, are they using it safely? Are they using it responsibly, ethically? Are they putting personal identifiable information in there? Are they putting birthdays and first and last names and addresses and things like that? So it's those things that we want to teach our students, and we also want to teach them. I mean, they need to learn how to be a prompt engineer. They need to know, like you said, if it doesn't come out right, what do you need to change in your verbiage? And like you stated earlier, it also depends where in the prompt you put that particular ask.
Yes.
So the way you prioritize it, it's cyclical. The way you just keep going back and forth until you finally get, okay, I like that. I'm going to land on that, and let's fine tune it, and let's put my spin on it. Right. So I'm glad that you have that administration backing in that. So have you ever had a parent say, I don't want my child exposed to AI in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to knock on wood.
I think this is particle board. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But no, I have not. And it was funny because I have always been one of those teachers. I feel like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I say that all the time to my students, myself included. And I say a lot with them, I'm learning too. So if you see something that's really cool that maybe I haven't gone over, maybe I don't know. Maybe you need to jump up here and teach the rest of the students that item or, show it to everyone. But I always say to them, I'm like, you guys, when I show you something, I want you to go home and teach somebody at your house. Maybe it's your stuffed animal. Maybe it's your grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle or mom or dad or brother, sister, whoever. I want you to share because in my mind, no matter what it is that a child is learning in any area of education, if they can reteach it to somebody else, they really understand that concept. And so it doesn't matter what we're creating. I mean, I've had parents email me and say, I learned how to use Keynote on my phone. I had no idea that I could do that right on my phone. And my, third grader taught me how to make shapes move and all different kinds of things. Because I'm always like, hey, friends, go home, share it with somebody, show somebody, teach somebody else how to use it. So I haven't had anybody that
Good for you. Good for you. So it's pretty obvious that AI has affected the way you approach teaching. Have you integrated AI usage in the planning process, in the lesson planning process?
Not as much as maybe a homeroom teacher.
Yeah.
Because being more of a special areas teacher, I haven't done that as much. I will say that I have used it a little bit to help me in a broader perspective of planning like the year out and making sure I leave enough time because sometimes, everything, you have to be flexible in education.
Almost like a pacing guide?
Yes. Yeah. But like how, random things will come up and then you're not finished. Or I know one time I did some Minecraft projects that they were loving it so much, but they weren't finished because they just wanted to keep adding and adding and adding. And I'm like, okay, I scheduled this for 3 weeks and now we're at week 6, so just kind of helping me figure out more of a long-term plan and what that might look like. Yes. And I have definitely shared many of the teacher tools more for like a homeroom teacher.
Yeah.
Like the Magic School AI.
Which
my
this
favorite.
episode is sponsored by. So big shout out to
Yay.
Magic School AI. And there's 75 tools. It's
Yes,
crazy,
and
right?
I love them. I mean, for educators, it is like the heavens opened up and it's like, here you go. Dun, 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 dun.
Absolutely.
I mean, because it's just so simple to use. And so many educators I have shown that to in my building, in other buildings, at other conferences. And I'm just like, if you, as an educator, this would be my number one tool for you as an educator to help you use AI in your job.
Yeah.
Bookmark
it. And then once you find those tools that you love,
Yes.
favorite them. That way they're always living at the top
Yes.
and get comfortable with it. Yeah.
And just, I mean, it's just such an amazing tool.
It really is. It really is.
Like, I cannot say enough good things about it because the challenge, this is my opinion, but I feel like some days I'm just like, if I could just come in and just teach all day, it would be like amazing. But there's all these other duties as assigned, which it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Magic School AI helps you minimize the length of time that all of the other duties as assigned that come with teaching, so that it gives you more time back to teach.
Yeah.
Which is what
Essentially
everybody's
what we all
favorite
want.
thing to do.
And even the AI process, like me prompting ChatGPT, takes a lot longer than prompting what I need to in Magic School.
Right.
Because I have to tell ChatGPT, take on the role of a 5th grade teacher teaching dividing fractions for the first time. And before I know it, my prompt is long.
Yes.
Rather than going to Magic School, picking the appropriate tool, and here's my standard. I copied and pasted it. Give me something.
Right.
And it gives you more than what you're looking for, which
Yes.
then you can definitely drill down. So.
And I definitely have written emails and then gone and put them in Magic School AI for it to kind of help me.
Massage, as I call it.
I just want to, you just want to make sure that what you feel like in your head sounds, I feel like I am a kind person and I, try to always have, that kind of verbiage when I'm writing things, but you can always get help.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I feel like it's an amazing tool.
It is. It definitely is. How can people connect with you?
I am on all of these socials at Kristen Brooks 77. I think you'll probably put a link or something, right?
You better believe it. I'm going to put all your links on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much any social, any of those things, you could, just find me there because it's all the same on all of them. I was really smart when I did those a million years ago that I just made them all the same. And
good
then,
branding on your part.
Thank you so much. And then just total different thought pattern. So the internet, KristenBrooks.net.
.net. All right. Sounds good. I do have one. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for everything you do in our educational space, everything you contribute to our teachers, our students, the student learning that happens, and just, even if they only have ever used AI with you, you're showing them how to do it in the correct way, in a safe way with safeguards, and using it and modeling good practices with your students. So thank you for everything you do. I know you've presented. You got more presentations.